start.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning, dear students. Hope you all are safe and sound. Now, this is your general science class, so kindly be attentive and note on the important points. Okay, so first of all, let me revise the previous lecture. In the previous lecture, we have studied the classification of plants. We have studied that plants have been classified into two groups, the flowering plants and the non-flowering plants. Means the flower producing plants and the plants who does not produce flowers. Okay. Then we have studied that the flowering plants have been classified into two major groups, that is the monocot plants and the dicot plants. Then we have studied the characteristic of the monocot plants and the dicot plants, as we have studied that monocot plants have, we have studied that monocot plant, the seed of monocot plant have one cotyledon, while the dicot plant have two cotyledons. Then we have studied the leaf of a monocot plant have a parallel veins, while the dicot plants have a net-like veins. Okay. Then we have studied the vascular bundles are scattered throughout the stem in the monocot plants, while the vascular bundles are in ring, arranged in a ring in the dicot plants. Then we have studied the floral petals, that the floral petals in a flower of a monocot plants have three or multiples of three petals, while the dicot plants have four or multiples of four petals. That is the summary of the previous lecture. So in the today's lecture, we are going to start the classification of animal as like plants. Plants have as like plants. So the classification of animals, now we are going to start that the animals can be classified according to whether they have a backbone or do not have a backbone. The animals, so scientists have divided the animals kingdom into two main groups, that is the vertebrates and the invertebrates. Vertebrates, those animals which have backbone, while invertebrates, those animals which do not have a backbone. So the examples of the vertebrates are, that is mammal, birds, amphibians, fish, and reptiles. All these animals have a body skeleton, internal body skeleton. Their body is divided into three main parts, that is the head, abdomen, and tail. So they are characterized in the vertebrates, while invertebrates are those animals which do not have a backbone. So these includes insects, worms. Some of them are round, some of them are flat, some of them are just like, let's take the example of insects. Some vertebrates have three or more pair of legs. Some vertebrates do not have any legs. Some vertebrates have antenna or tentacles. Like some vertebrates have soft body like jellyfish. Some vertebrates have exoskeleton, like they have shell on their body like snail and ladybird. So invertebrates are divided according to their structural features of their bodies as like vertebrates. So the animals kingdom has been classified into vertebrates and invertebrates on the basis of their vertebral column. On the basis of what? On the basis of their vertebral column. So now we are going to start to explain the vertebrates and invertebrates. So look at the reading. Okay. Look at the picture. Look at the, we have already studied in grade 4 that animals have been divided into two main groups. For example, the vertebrates and invertebrates. Okay, bachi, let me tell you what is the backbone. Acha, aisa kare, put your hand on the back side of your neck. Shabash, put your hand on the back side of your neck. Then take your hand downwards your back. Did you feel any bone? Yes, exactly, that is the backbone, which differentiate the vertebrates from invertebrates. Okay, so look at the picture of a pigeon and a butterfly. What difference do you see between the two? आप दोनों आपको क्या differences लगी इन दोनों में? Write your own observation. Your observation should be that the butterfly do not have backbone. So that is invertebrates, while a pigeon has an internal skeleton and has a backbone. So a pigeon has a vertebrate. Okay, butterfly is not a vertebrate, invertebrates, while a pigeon has vertebrates. Okay, all the vertebrates have an internal skeleton made of bones. Their body is divided into three main parts. How many parts? 3 main parts, that is head, abdomen and tail. Abdomen कहते हैं पेट को, which contain the digestive organs like stomach, small intestine, large intestine. So abdomen, that is called abdomen. The brain is present within the skull. Their brain will be present in their skull. They have the great ability to hear, see, smell, taste, and feel. The vertebrates have 5 senses. So they have the ability to hear, to see, to smell, taste, and feel through their sense organs. The blood circulates in the blood vessels of the body. The skin of the vertebrates is covered with scale or feathers or hairs. The skin of the vertebrate. So let's take the example of fish. Fish is a vertebrate because fish has a vertebral column. They have an internal skeleton. So the body of the fish is covered with scale. The body of the bird is covered with feathers. And the body of the mammal is like goat, camel, elephant, human. Their body is covered with hairs. Okay. So various type of invertebrates are found on the earth. They do not have any type of bone. Various types of invertebrates. Okay, dear student, do you know there are more invertebrates than vertebrates in the earth? Vertebrates is zyada hai, okay? They do not have any type of bone inside the body. The body structure of invertebrates is of various types. Some are flat, some are round, and some are segmented, like roundworm, flatworm, and the segmented example. Segmented mean their body is divided into parts like earthworms, tapeworms, etc. Okay, the body parts of invertebrate are different in different groups. अब different है invertebrates के, तो ये अभी हम पढ़ेंगे classification of vertebrates. Invertebrates इसके बाद है, तो फिर आप लोगों को ज्यादा क्लियर हो जाएगा कि actually main difference दोनों में क्या है. Let's move to the classification of vertebrates. Vertebrates have been divided into 5 groups. For example, fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Let me start from the fish. अब फिश के बारे में कुछ क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ वर्टिब्रेट्स के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन है कि फिश दे आर मोस्टली कूल ब्लडेड एनिमल्स. Cool blooded animals means they do not have a constant body temperature. They do not have a constant body temperature. Because of this reason, they cannot survive in extreme temperature. Their body is covered with scale. They live and reproduce in water. They can breathe through gills and reproduce by laying eggs in water. Fish are reproduced by eggs. Fish lay eggs in water. So look at this. Fish live in water. Both ends of their body are pointed. Pointed means sharp. The middle part is broad and thick, as we have studies in the characteristic of the vertebrates that their body is divided into 3 parts: head, abdomen, and tail. So the middle part is broad and thick. For example, they have a boat-like shape. This body shape is most suitable to swim. They have scales on their skin. Fish breathe through gills. Some fish have fins and tails, which helps to swim. Reproduction in fish takes place through eggs. Fish are reproduced by what? Fish are reproduced by eggs. Okay, their body temperature depends on the temperature of their surrounding, means they do not have a constant body temperature. So they cannot survive in extreme temperature. So that's why that is called the cool-blooded animals. That is all about the fish. Now let's move to the next part, let's move to the next type, that is amphibians. The amphibians, those animals, what are amphibians? Those animals which can live on land and also in water. वो animals जो पानी और जमीन दोनों जगहों पर रहते हो, that is called amphibians. So amphibians can live on land and water also. Then they are also full-blooded animal because they do not have a special mechanism in their body. They do not have a constant body temperature, so that's why they also cannot survive in extreme temperature. Their skin are most moist and slippery, and they can live on land and water. They breathe through their skin and lungs and lay eggs in water. Amphibians can live on land and also in water. They respire through lungs and skin. Respire जब पानी में रहते हैं तो through skin, and जब land पर रहते हैं तो through lungs. They can breathe. Okay. Usually their skin is moist and loose. Moist and slippery means slippery बहुत को smooth skin होती है इनकी. ठीक है. They live on land but lay eggs in water. Their body temperature depends on the temperature of their surroundings. Their development takes place in water. Frog, toad, salamander, newt are the example of amphibians. Here is the examples of amphibians. Look at the images. That is frog, toad, salamander, and newt. Newt is also an amphibian having lungs and well-developed tail, while salamander is newt-like amphibians having bright marks on their bodies. Okay, so that is all about the amphibians, that they can live on land and water. They respire through lungs and skin. They are also cool-blooded animals. And their development takes place in water. Frog, toad, salamander, newt are the examples of amphibians. Now, point to ponder, that is, what is the difference between a toad and a frog? That is your assignment. That what is the difference between a toad and a frog? In दोनों में क्या differences है? Frog में क्या है और toad में क्या है? That is your assignment. Now look at this. Do you know why could amphibians not flourish in the whole world? Why amphibians not flourish in the whole world? Because they are not found in desert and snow, because they cannot go away from water. क्यों ये वाटर से दूर नहीं जा सकते? हमने क्या पढ़ा अभी रिप्रोडक्शन में कि ये कहां पर रिप्रोड्यूस होते? They live on land but lay eggs in water. So their development takes place in water. So they cannot go away from the water. That's why amphibians are not flourish in the whole world. That depends on water for reproduction and development. Okay, कोई आपसे पूछे कि why amphibians are not flourish in the whole world while reptiles are so flourish? So your answer could be that they cannot go away from the water because that depends on water for reproduction and development. Now let's move to the next, that is reptiles. Reptiles are what? Reptiles are called creeping animals. Creeping animals, what? Reengne wale जानवर. Okay. Reptiles are also cool-blooded animals because they do not have a constant body temperature. Reptiles, amphibians, and fish. ये तीनों जो है, these are cool-blooded animals. While birds and mammals are warm-blooded animals. They are constant body temperature mechanism. While reptiles, amphibians, and fish do not have a constant body temperature. Reptiles, examples, crocodile, turtle, a lizard, tortoise, snake. These are the examples of reptiles. Reptiles are also cool-blooded animals. They have a dry skin covered with scales. They have a dry skin covered with because the skin protect it from the external effects like raining, temperature, any climate changes. So their dry skin protect them from the external effects. And another thing, some live in water and some reptiles live in water, some reptiles live on land. Look at the example of the crocodile. Crocodile can live in water, and lizard live on land. They breathe through their lungs and lay eggs on land. Reptiles are also called creeping animals. Their skin is thick. इनकी skin thick होती है. Coarse mean rough. Dry, जो बिल्कुल rough, soft skin होती है, and dry, which protect their bodies from external effects. These animals lay egg on land. Reproduction in these animals take place through eggs. Reproduction amphibians में भी through eggs हो रही है. Fish में भी reproduction through eggs हो रही है. Reptiles में भी reproduction through eggs हो रही है. ठीक है? Their body temperature depends on the temperature of their surrounding. Means cool-blooded animals do not have a constant body temperature. Lizard, crocodile, tortoise are the examples of reptiles. Clear? Now, do you know dinosaurs were the largest reptiles of the ancient times, but they have become extinct. Dinosaurs were the largest reptiles of the ancient times, but they have become extinct. वो अब खत्म हो चुकी है, नापैद हो चुकी है, ठीक है? ये largest reptiles थे on the earth, जो कि अब खत्म हो चुकी है. Compared to the amphibians, the reptiles flourished all over the world because they do not depend on water for reproduction. अब हम कंपेयर कर रहे हैं reptiles और amphibians को. Why amphibians are not flourish all over the world as compared to reptiles? Because reptiles does not depends on water for reproduction. वो कहीं पर भी अंडे दे सकते हैं और reproduce हो सकते हैं. While जो amphibians है, that depends on water for reproduction. So they cannot live without water or go away from water. That's why amphibians are not flourished and reptiles are more flourished all over the world. Difference क्या है कि amphibians cannot go away from water, while reptiles do not depend on water for reproduction. That is the reason. Okay. Now the birds have feathers and beak. Their bones are hollow. Thus, their weight is less. Hollow bones mean खोखली हड्डियां होती है इसकी. खोखली हड्डियां mean वो जो light हड्डियां होती है which helps them in flight. ठीक है? Thus, their body weight is less. Along with lungs, they have air sacs. Along with lungs, the birds में special mechanism क्या है? Along with lungs, they have air sacs. As you know, birds do not have diaphragm, so air is moved in and out of the respiratory system through pressure changes in the air sacs. Birds do not have diaphragm, so air is moved in and out of the respiratory system through pressure, the changes in the air sacs. Birds can fly in air. Birds की different kinds होती है, different types होती है. Flying birds होती है, running birds होती है. Some birds जो है वो water में रहती है, like duck. So birds can fly in air. Some birds can swim in water, for example, duck. Some birds cannot fly and are called running bird, for example, kiwi, ostrich. All birds lay eggs. The birds that live in water have a webbed feet. Webbed feet mean जलीदार फीट उनकी होती है ना. आप लोगों ने डक को देखा है, आप लोगों ने डक के टोस को देखा है. Their toes are connected by a membrane. Web type feet होती है इसकी ना. उसकी जो toes होते हैं वो एक दूसरे के साथ connected होते हैं through a membrane. Okay. Their body temperature does not depend on the external environment. That is the reason their body temperature does not depend on the external environment. That's why they are warm-blooded animals. They are what? They are warm-blooded animals because their body temperature remains the same as they move from one surrounding to another surrounding. While fish, amphibians, and reptiles are cool-blooded animals, they do not have a constant body temperature. While the birds are warm-blooded animals because their body temperature remains the same as they move from one surrounding to another surrounding. The examples of their body temperature does not depend on the external environment. Sparrow, pigeon, kiwi, rooster, dove, parrot, and ostrich are the examples of birds. Birds की characteristic में ये है जैसे हमने पढ़ा कि feathers हमने पढ़ा. So birds have feathers, scales that reptiles and fish have scales on their bodies. And another hair example जो hair की है that is mammal. Now another one is, look at this example. Did you know the largest flying bird is eagle? Largest flying bird जो है वो eagle है, which lives on high trees, on rocks. Hummingbird is the smallest bird. जो hummingbird है वो सबसे smallest bird है, and the hummingbird has the ability to fly backward. Hawk is a hunter bird. शिकारी परिंदा है hawk. That is called baz. That is a hunter bird. Penguin is a flightless sea bird that lives on snow, while woodpeckers live in the holes they make in tree trunks. Woodpeckers जिसे कहते हैं hudhud, कहते हैं जिसे, ठीक है. They climbed on tree trunks to find insects on dead wood. So that's why it is called woodpecker. That is all about the birds. Clear, students? Any question? Inshallah, the next mammals we will